We've got chaos happening in the Big 12 at TCU, a team the Mountaineers play this year, and has this locker room chaos, this locker room fight, giving the Mountaineers a chance potentially. But it's definitely gotten Sonny Dykes under fire. We talk about that and more on this episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, it is up, guys. Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your co-host for this one, alongside Locked On Oklahoma State's Cody Stovall. This is Locked On West Virginia. Well, we're here to talk some Big 12 stuff with you, along with some West Virginia stuff as well that you'll want to stick around here for. On this episode today, guys, and obviously our friends Kalshi here bringing this to us. And guys, with Kalshi right now, what you need to do is download the app, use that code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. You'll definitely be wanting to do that. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a couple topics. Tobi Haastrup is ascending. We've heard this from multiple people here in the last week or so. If he is able to ascend to levels like we think he can, he's got the talent to be one of the best pass rushers in the Big 12. Can he put that together? Well, we're hearing some good stuff. Cody's going to give us a reaction to some stuff about him, as well as this topic in the beginning. And I know Cody's raring to go on this because we've already had our preliminary on this discussion. And I think we're in agreement for the most part on a lot of this because to give you guys the backstory, basically here's what's gone on today, because TCU has dismissed their star player, Jacob Fields, from the secondary, a guy that's the defensive player of the year where he came from, a projected starting free safety, and definitely one of their biggest transfer portal additions. He's reportedly been removed because two teammates lost their tempers during practice. And according to reporting originating in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, this followed a locker room altercation involving Fields and an offensive player, was believed to have been during a practice session or a meeting of some sort where there was few people in there, so that something couldn't be done about it. And so TCU police are listing an aggravated assault on this, which is a big-time charge. That's a felony inside the John Justin locker room at 1:30 on August 13th. So, and this was also reported by the TCU police crime log. And so it was dismissed on the 18th, quote, due to a violation of team rules. Jacob Fields has been removed from our roster and will not be a member of our football team moving forward. Now, Cody, the reports about this have gotten really, really interesting because Fields felt targeted by his teammates with insults and threats. Sources with direct knowledge of the situation said teammates spit on him multiple times throughout probably the last few months, I'm assuming. And the same sources say that Fields reportedly asked members of TCU's coaching staff to help please de-escalate this situation, and nothing meaningful was done. If that's accurate, we're no longer talking about losing control as a player here. We're talking about whether an explosive situation was allowed to develop inside this locker room, inside a major college football program, Cody, until somebody finally freaking snaps. So let's walk through what happened here and determine whether the blame belongs on Dykes, the coaching staff, the kids, all the above. I mean, this seems like a complete breakdown of everything from top to bottom, and this is 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely unfortunate. There's going to be a lot of blame to go around. And it's a very serious topic, so I'll try to squeeze in a little lightheartedness before we get back into the seriousness. And we've heard a lot of speculation in regards to like Texas Tech potentially maybe someday exploring the SEC options. I was not aware TCU was trying to get into the SEC, but nonetheless, here we are. It is a wild situation, and at the end of the day, right, you do have to have coaches that do their due diligence when they go through the transfer portal process, because now I think you could be in a potential scenario where NIL is going to play a component here, and you're not going to want to, get a lot of players in the hot water somewhat unnecessarily, but there has to be a checks and balances system, I think, throughout the course of all of this, because the fact that it got that far is mind-blowing to me. Like whenever I called you earlier for a little bit of clarification,
You were shocked the whole time I was telling you.
I was, because it didn't make sense to me. I was like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I was like, it had to be like a one-on-one thing. Like, was he waiting for him? Because if it was with a bunch of teammates in the locker room, then
It's
there's
only gonna
no
get one
way
punch.
that could have, escalated to
Right.
that degree. But then it kind of seems as though it was with a lot of locker room potential players around. And the fact that they allow this to happen in their own locker room, right? You always hear about some of the best teams in the country every year police themselves, right? The players, the seniors, the leaders in the locker room, they police the locker room so the coaches can focus on coaching. And it clearly was not happening at TCU. You go back to some of the bullying, hazing, whatever you want to call it, who really knows what it was. But if the staff was made aware that some of this was going on, then there should have been some preventative measures put in place ahead of time. And secondarily, this is typically something that goes to the leadership council, right? Everybody in college football has a leadership council, and your leadership council gets together on a weekly basis, and you discuss whether you're going to have meetings and outside of the coaches, whether you're going to stay late and you're going to run, whether you're going to police yourselves. And that doesn't seem to have been happening at TCU. So at the end of the day, right, this is on the players to some degree, but the coaches, not only did they not pre-screen this stuff diligently enough when it's a multitude of players, but secondarily, they obviously didn't do anything to prevent this. And they didn't challenge the leadership council to do anything about this from getting it too far. Like, we've all been in scuffs. We've all been in situations.
For sure.
And there is some tense moments in the locker room, right? You can have some altercations in the locker room here and there.
There are going to be people you don't like as well.
But it's typically not going to go very far because your teammates swoop you up, bear hug you, and drag you off. That's 99% of the time how that happens. So for that not to have happened in this scenario, it just seems insane to me. But at the same point in time, because things don't make sense, we're going to need to hear more on the story because, again, I still just can't comprehend how the other players in the locker room would have, A, not nipped it in the butt before it started, but secondarily, not instantaneously been on both of their asses to make sure it didn't escalate.
Let's talk about what's confirmed here. Obviously, Jacob Fields transferred to TCU after 3 years at La Tech. It wasn't a depth piece at all. This is the 2025 Conference USA Co-Defensive Player of the Year. 92 tackles, 3 interceptions, 5 press breakups. 2 of those went for touchdowns. He had made 21 consecutive starts and was reviewed at an Ironman at Louisiana Tech and was brought to Fort Worth and was getting comparisons to Bud Clark. I mean, good Lord, what a loss. And he was, obviously Bud Clark went in one of the first or second round, wherever he went. So he had reportedly taken most of TCU's first team free safety repetitions all during camp, and the altercation occurred inside the locker room. We know that. Classified as aggravated assault, which sounds alarming, but I think, independently declare Fields of aggravated assault would be, I don't know about this. I mean, I know that one other piece of this is the other player. How do we say his name again? Enzo. Do you remember how they say the name?
Ezekama,
yeah, was hospitalized as a result of this. So the spittee, it seems like, may have been hospitalized, or the spitter, I should say. And interesting, right? So here's what sources alleged happened beforehand. There was the tensions have been developing during fall camp. Fields said the teammates were targeting him with insults and threats. The teammates allegedly spit on him multiple times. Fields had contacted members of the coaching staff more than once. He allegedly asked them to intervene and prevent the situation from escalating, which we've talked about this. The source claims that the staff did not adequately de-escalate. Fields is regrettably extremely remorseful and accepting responsibility for his actions and just wants to move past this. And the source does not confirm or whether or not Sonny Dykes understood the full extent of the situation. And so my question to you is this. By the way, these claims have not been independently proven. I want to point that out. Not all these have been proven, but this is reporting that's gone into this. And I think we've gotten some pretty good clarity on a lot of this. But there could be something that we've spoken about that changes or something at some point in the future, just so you guys know, so you don't lock this in stone. But, is this negligence on the part of Sonny Dykes? I mean, how is he unaware of this? I mean, obviously, if you don't know, you don't know, but shouldn't you be taking steps? Well, let me just use Rich Rod as an example. Rich Rod inserts himself into every part of the program. That's just how he is. Like, even down to, he doesn't want the players yelling at each other. He said, that's my job, right? Like, if I'm not around, okay, fine, they can have leadership and all that. But, like, if I'm around, I'm the leader, and I'm going to be involved in every aspect of that. Surely, I mean, we're talking about multiple incidents here. So it's not like this is one day of hazing or whatever you want to call it. Like, this is multiple incidents. Is this negligence?
100%.
Right.
Like, to what degree, though, nobody really knows.
Right. I wouldn't classify it as the most egregious kind, but it's definitely negligence.
Conceptually speaking, I think a lot of us assume that the head ball coach does know everything that's happening, but that's not true. I mean, that's not true. Like, there have been coaches that have been at a place for, 12, 13, 14 years, and things are going extremely well, and it's a smooth running machine. And sometimes they'll step away and they'll have some of their assistants kind of coordinate practices a little bit more so they can focus on doing other things away from the facilities. Whenever that's happening, there is going to be contentious moments in the locker room sometimes, and you could be completely somewhat removed from it. Now, at the same point in time, when you're standing on the field, the practice field, and you're seeing your team interact with each other, of course, it's always going to get somewhat chippy. You want this to be a gladiator sport still to some degree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think even coaches can kind of read the room on the field when they can notice that
you better be able to.
It's a little bit more than just, chippiness.
Yeah.
But I could see a coach not really understanding how deep the vitriol could become. Like,
right.
It's one thing to know, I know that number 10 and number 9 don't like each other. But if you're not there every single day, you're not in the locker rooms every single day, you could be somewhat disconnected. And I'm not saying that Sonny Dykes isn't, but I don't see how Sonny Dykes could be at the facilities every single day and at every single practice and not know.
Very interesting. Okay,
there
has
been coaches in the past that are not at every single practice all day, and they're they're not at every meeting.
It's possible, and just like most staffs this day, they're huge. These are huge programs. We're talking, like West Virginia's is almost 100 deep, right? So, it's insane. But we'll go to break on this. We're 13 in, and I want to ask a question about West Virginia here in this. I mean, not to be selfish, but let's talk about this from a West Virginia perspective. We play TCU. Is TCU potentially poisoned from within? We'll talk about that, as well as Tobi Haastrup, the big defensive end that we've all been praying about out of Oregon, coming along nicely, I'm hearing. We'll talk about that and more here with Cody right after the break. Apparently Jackson's not listening. All right, guys, we're talking about it today, and our friends are coming full throttle from Kalshi. And before the season kicks off, everybody's making predictions. Who wins the division? Well, who makes the playoffs? That's good questions. Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, which is America's #1 prediction media market platform, you can trade with those predictions in a live market. If you want to check out with the NFL specifically, like, obviously, when you're talking about wins, well, what about the Steelers right now? 9 wins for the Pittsburgh Steelers, about a 45% rate probability, which means $100 would get you right around $205 payout if the Steelers win more than 9 games. Pretty good deal. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in the live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability does change, and it will change, you're going to be able to buy in and out of your position trade the draft pick, the game, and more. You can do it all on Kalshi. Make sure you download the app and use code Locked On when you get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. You got to be 18 to do this, so restrictions and eligibility requirements are going to apply here. Event contract trading involves risk. May not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions, so prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. More information can be found at kalshi.com/regulatory. Now he's doing it.
Oh, my Lanta. All right. So, yeah, this is going to have an effect on the Big 12 for sure, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It'll be interesting to see if TCU does come out. You would assume that they would. There should.
Okay.
Somebody needs to be fired, right? I'll put it that way. Whether it's an assistant coach or a strength coach or a GA or a player or what I mean? There's no way it could get to this level without somebody having some culpability, because this is the last thing the Big 12 needs, right? From a PR marketing standpoint, this is the last thing that we need as a conference.
Well,
but as you mentioned earlier, right, when we were talking on the phone earlier, I was like, yeah, dude, they've got to kick a couple players off the team. Somebody's got to get fired. They have to do something. TCU just can't sit idly by and say, oh, we don't know. But they very well could kick this thing down the road, because how many players does this go deep into? Is this 4 players? Is it 6 players? Is it 7 players? Is it your highest paid NIL person and your third highest paid NIL person? There's a lot of layers to this.
Well, and that's what I want to ask you from the West Virginia perspective. Obviously, West Virginia plays TCU in October, so not too far off from here. Could this be a situation where, from a West Virginia perspective, you feel like, hey, maybe that game is not as scary as it was 24 hours ago? Obviously, we'll know by then whether or not they're playing well. But just from this perspective, I just thought that was an interesting question.
Well, I think I would almost think the opposite, right? If I was you, I would be more scared to play TCU now if they've got a bunch of players that like to throw hands. But yeah, snake oil kind of ordeal that you were mentioning earlier.
Rotting from within.
How it's not a distraction, right? That on some level, whether it's a distraction in preparation for week 1 or it's a distraction later on down the line, if there's more to the story that comes out, there's no way this isn't a distraction at some point in time. How long does that last? How long does that take? We don't know. But there's no way that this can go down the way that it did and it be as massively impactful nationally of a story and it not, slow something down, right? Whether it's preparation from the players, from the coaches, from the staff, from the administration, it cannot sit easily by, I guess. I don't know. I'm at a fumble for words because words are hard.
Well, that's fine. We can shift gears into another topic here because
let's go.
Obviously, and to put a bow on that, I think absolutely if you're West Virginia, you feel a little better about TCU, in my opinion. They're obviously, because I know West Virginia, I've heard from so many people how together our team is. So, and everybody says that, but are they really? I get that part of it.
Yeah.
And Rich Rod is he says this all the time, by the way. Rich Rod is people say that, but are you really kind of person? He's not big on saying you're something if you're not,
Well, that's because Rich Rod had to have teams that were willing to play harder for the guy next to him.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, going into overtime, right? We've had that conversation. Your camaraderie, your cohesiveness on the team, how much you give a shit about the guy next to you does matter in fourth quarters of close ball games when you're all tired, you're all hurt, you're all bruised up. That's when it matters, right? Because you're going to run a little bit faster, a little bit harder, a little bit further, dig a little bit deeper if you actually give a crap about the dude next to you. And I think Rich Rod understands if you're going to go get a bunch of 2-star, 3-star dudes, him and Gundy both used to have to do for such a long time.
Yeah.
If you're going to go grab those guys, it's going to take them a little bit of time before they're athletically on the same playing field as everybody else. So you have to have a different component that cancels that out. And whenever you play together as a team and you're willing to fist fight in a phone booth for your buddies, you're going to play better when it matters the most. And Rich Rod still believes in that.
And look at all these guys all these years down the line. Look at the loyalty from Pat McAfee. Look at the loyalty from Pac-Man Jones and all these guys we see that still love Rich Rod. There's a reason for that, right? Because he challenges you, he makes you challenge yourself, and you end up being a better person for it. 6-second break, since we're already at that mark. We'll go 6-second break. We'll come back and talk about Tobi Haastrup, who's ascending. It's segment 3. Coming along with me, it's the Milkman, the Payboy, Navy TV. Back with our familiar friend. It's Cody. Coming over to your house. He's around the bend. All right. So, Cody, I showed you some of this before we came in. Tobi Haastrup is, to say he's a tank is definitely an understatement. This is a monster of a guy that we knew coming in from Oregon was going to be extremely talented. I'm going to show his high school tape here. This is him coming out of high school, right? And a guy that, obviously Oregon took him for a reason. So his tape's going to be phenomenal. But it's hard to believe to me, this was his first time ever playing football this year. Like, it's insane to me, actually. Like, the athleticism. This is a dude that was apparently an elite soccer player over in England. So, you can see some of that skill on display. But the athleticism and freakishness of this kid is pretty insane, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, like I said off air, he looks like a baby Myles Garrett, and I don't know that I'm a massive fan of that.
Well, the big question with this kid here is obviously,
like, dude, somebody that good, that quick, that versatile, that agile, he takes away your running back from being able to go out on route concepts, because you're going to have to add another layer of protection for
you
your
just killed
in the
it.
backfield 24/7.
Don't even know it.
So somebody like that, he takes away your running back being a threat in the receiver game more often than not. And when you're an Oklahoma State fan, right, and you're looking at this game against West Virginia that we have coming up, knowing that Caleb Hawkins is going to be a major threat out of the backfield in the receiving department, and then you see crap like this, you're like, wow, I don't like this.
He just had a pick 6 in practice the other day from the defensive end spot. This is a dude that's an elite athlete. He runs in that 4.4, 4.5 range, which is incredible. One of those dudes that has a great quickness, and for his size, incredible explosion. Look at him just drive people into the backfield. Well, clearly, Oregon took a chance on this guy for a reason. And then he got to spend a year in that elite program as it was last year, as we saw. And really learn how to get better. Now,
you show that clip of what he did to old poor Mekhi Hughes. Is it this one?
It's one of the next 2 or 3. Yeah, he absolutely destroys him here in a minute. I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'll show you which one it is.
Poor running back, boy.
Yeah. And so, I think it's right here. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, this is a guy that the big thing with him is he was swimming a little bit when he got here. The playbook was really big. Zach Alley's defense, not easy to digest. And word is that, man, he's they simplified some things for him, and he's playing fast right now. And that's the last thing you want if you're the opposing guy. If I was Rich Rod and I was Zach Alley, I almost would start him in our first game. I know there are guys ahead of him, one guy ahead of him, but I would almost start this freak of nature in the first game, because you're playing Coastal and you're playing UT Martin. Get him as many snaps as you can get, or at least play him a lot. Get him as many snaps as you can get him and try to get him right.
I'm sure he will play a lot, because you can't hide talent on your bench. Unless he's a liability, right?
Right.
Unless he can't figure out the defensive schematics and he doesn't know when to twist as opposed to stunt, unless it's that, which I highly doubt because he just spent a whole year at Oregon. Unless it's that, like, he's going to play, I would imagine, a decent amount. I would also imagine any 3rd and long scenario, he will be the guy on the football field 99.999% of the time. Now, the other downs, maybe you do have somebody that can do a little bit more from, a defensive understanding perspective. But when it's time to put a guy in the game to just pin his ears back and go, it's that dude. And I think if you kind of give him that 15 to 20 snaps a game range, every time he does rush, he is going to go at 100 miles an hour because he's going to be fresh.
Yeah, great point.
Like, that's the kind of guy with his athleticism. You don't want to wear him down unnecessarily.
Right.
When you can send him in there and say, all right, do your little Von Miller, Usain Bolt thing for us real quick.
Before we get you out of here, I got to get your reaction to Stanford Steve here.
One. But I look at Rich Rod with Michael Hawkins coming in, and Rich Rod with a running quarterback, and then bringing in Cook, the NCAA leader. Like, you want a mini Pat White and Steve Slayton back in Morgantown? I think West Virginia is built to surprise a lot of teams. I like the teams that they get at home. So I'm going to say West Virginia plays in the Big 12 title game. That's my big surprise. Kansas.
Bold statement from him, and he had one more thing to say about our lines of scrimmage.
But they're built, like, their lines of scrimmage are really good. I just think to beat Texas Tech, you need something different and possibly outscore them. I'll take my chances with a West Virginia team with Hawkins, who I think can really succeed in that offense. And I know he's in a quarterback battle, so he'll probably lose the job now that I mention his name. But I like that mix when I saw it, because that's what Rich Rod wanted. You want to play another defender in the box and do all that stuff, like that plays into Rich Rod's hands. And I know they're starving there, and I think a big year is coming in Morgantown.
Your reaction to this, obviously, from West Virginia's perspective, we need big-time media personalities saying nice things about us. Obviously, I think we can both agree it's still going to be a long shot for that to happen. But it seems like the intel coming out, because some of these people that are, whether it's like he would be a guy that knows Pat McAfee really well because of game day, maybe he's hearing some things from there. Some of the people with the real intel, like straight from Rich Rod, and I'll tell you, I'll just go ahead and say this. One of my sponsors, he works with the team on a lot of different things, and he interacted with Zach Alley yesterday and had a good conversation with him. And, he told Zach Alley, he mentioned something about the Big 12 title game. And he said, Zach Alley said, don't go there just yet, but we're going to be a lot better. And he said it 3 times. So, I do think that's what I take from this is the more we get through this, it's like, maybe it's not fool's gold this time. Maybe we can actually be back and just have a good season. Like I don't know if there's many fan bases in the country starving worse than us. Rutgers is the only team that's been ranked outside the AP poll longer than us. We've been 95 weeks outside the AP poll.
I think that it's got to be amazing to hear, right? Somebody of that betting level kind of essentially throw a bet in on West Virginia getting to Arlington. And, I think Zach Alley is kind of complex. We did hear a lot of that at OU, and it took OU a little bit of time before it was a well-oiled machine, which is, again, there's a few different reasons why I'm very, very, very happy that we play y'all very, very, very early in the season. Yeah. Because I do think that even if you were to say you start 3-1 and your only loss is to Oklahoma State, and then you get on a run, this is the beauty of this conversation is, and it's for us too. Like, if we were to lose West Virginia week 4, the beauty of losing is as long as you lose early, you're typically going to have enough time to rebuild up that cachet and put yourself back into a advantageous position.
One loss doesn't knock you out of the Big 12,
I think that is easily a possibility. Like I've said, I would be pretty darn worried if we had to play West Virginia at the end of the year. I'm not 100% confident that if we did have to play West Virginia in week 10, week 11, that I would confidently pick us to get a dub. But because there is a lot of complexities, and we do have a lot of North Texas guys that have come in, and 90% of the staff is coming in, I do think that Oklahoma State will start off with more continuity than most teams across the country. But when West Virginia gets going, man, y'all are going to be a problem. You're going to be a massive, massive problem. And the beauty of it for you guys is, like, even if you did have a game where you had Hawkins hurt for a couple series or a couple quarters or something, I think as a West Virginia fan, you got to be pretty confident that Scotty Fox can come in and at least hold the fort down pretty daggone well.
You could make an argument he'd be the best backup in the Big 12. You can make an argument for him being that. Yeah, definitely in the conversation. He's a starter caliber guy. I just think that the only reason that Hawkins is getting, first of all, I think it's that Hawkins, people around the country just don't know how good he actually is yet. And like I've said, I mean, I'll just keep it whole 100% real. I've spoken with at least 10 people that have access, that have raved about this guy, said he's making insane throws over and over again. Like, I mean, you know, like this back shoulder throw here to Jaden Bray. Yeah, obviously. And others. Like he's a dude that, like, you know, I think he doesn't get enough love for what he's able to do as a passer. And I think that's going to be the biggest surprise for people is, you know, this right here. This is an insane throw. Like the athletic ability it takes to do that is, in my opinion, it's pretty good. It's pretty high level stuff. So to avoid a guy, double pump it in the middle of the air like that, swim underneath his hand, outstretched hand, and then fling it into the end zone like that. Like, it's not an easy thing to do.
Hey, go back just a little bitty bit. Oh, way too far.
It's a played video. Hold on.
Oh man, you had it. Oh, right there. Oh, too far.
I can't pause it.
Oh, okay. I was like, dude, if you could find a way to pause that, there's like the thumbnail of the year.
I know, right?
Right. Oh, not yet.
A little bit higher, yeah. Man. But that's still pretty good. About right there.
Yeah, right there. Boom. That was thumbnail of the year, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously we're excited about what he can do. And obviously that tight end right there who's come on strong at the end of this. We've got a lot of guys coming on strong right now. We really do. So, you know, it's all got to come together. I think we're going to be a work in progress as the season goes. We'll probably lose one or two. We might even lose one that maybe we're even the better team in. But
dude, the beauty of it is this is the Big 12. Where it's wide open all of the time.
Wide open. 100%, man. Thanks for being here, bro. I appreciate you for helping me on this one. Guys, make sure you're checking out Cody. Obviously, he's not only a good buddy, but he's a good podcaster, a good host. Does a great job at Locked On Oklahoma State. There's not many people I would have taken over for like that, but Cody's a special guy and deserves that. So, he's a military veteran. He's a guy.
Well, I am so appreciative that you were able to slide in and help with all the craziness in life sometimes that pops up, brother man. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of our conversations is we think quite a bit alike, right. But we also come at things from different angles quite a darn bit too. So it makes it.
Some of my stories will leave your jaw's on the floor. Some of the stuff I say, and just like my jaw's on the floor, some of the stuff you say in a different way. So it is kind of funny, you know.
Yeah.
So I could give an example, but it'd probably get me in trouble. So
see, I mean, you have some wild stories. I just say fun stuff like, you know, like that idea ain't worth a velvet painting of two dolphins getting it on. I just that's where I throw stuff in there.
Right. Yeah, mine's more like this actually happened to me. And
yeah. Right.
I was in this abandoned house, you know, so that's never a good start to a sentence.
Yeah, or a movie.
It's
never a good start to a movie either, buddy.
And that's how Mel Gibson came up with The Passion of the Christ.
That's right.
Thank you guys for being here. We will be back at another time. Me and Jackson, I got to do a College Sports Insider, so be live on the X here in a minute, talking some college football as a whole, and we'll be back here after probably afternoon tomorrow. All right, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and definitely check out Locked On Oklahoma State with Cody. Go subscribe over there. Make sure you're checking them out. And last but not least, Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin. Truly one of the most talented guys we have here at this network. His voice is like insanely just made for radio. So go check him out.
Did you just call Spencer McLaughlin a baby angel with a microphone?
Yeah, I was going to say he had a face for radio.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Guys, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow where we love talking about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. And there's definitely one thing we don't want you to forget. Don't ever forget to cue them country roads, baby.